Thank you everyone for joining. This is a webinar with Object Matrix and PoINT Software and Systems. My name is Mark Haberfield, Sales Engineer here at Object Matrix. And on the line also we have Manfred Rossendahl, Pre-Sales at PoINT Software.
Hello everyone.
Hello. So today the webinar is obviously going to be about our two products. We'll quickly get an intro to Object Matrix and MatrixStore and the benefits it brings, along with an intro to PoINT Storage Manager and their systems and their benefits. And then we'll have a quick look at the joint solution together and do a live demo, as well as a Q&A at the end. The meeting is being recorded so that we can present it to people afterwards or take little clips from it. But do feel free to ask questions in the chat or save yourself till the end. And we'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end of the meeting. So company introduction, Object Matrix, and I'll just play you a nice little video to save you hearing too much about me.
In 2003, Object Matrix created MatrixStore Object Storage. In 2009, we focused on the media industry and only the media industry. And that very year, we started to win customers in broadcast, news, sports, video on demand, post-production, VFX, and corporate video, as our solutions solved major problems the media industry was facing. In 2010, we continued to listen to our customers and help them solve their challenges by building more tight integrations with the tools that they used. Today, there are 3 ways to deploy MatrixStore Object Storage. Firstly, MatrixStore on-prem, deployed in-house in your data centers. Very powerful, very secure, and your content is accessible from anywhere. Secondly, MatrixStore Cloud, media-focused cloud storage with predictable costs and no egress fees. It's perfect for backup, business continuity, or archive workflows. Finally, MatrixStore Hybrid, a combination of MatrixStore on-prem, MatrixStore Cloud or public cloud storage with the benefits of creating a unified multi-cloud storage platform. With hundreds of global installations, we help our customer community to be more operationally efficient, to collaborate globally, and empower creativity. We've been dedicated to the media industry for over a decade, and we will continue to help you meet your challenges as we evolve to a more relevant and appropriate Cloud 2.0. In 2021, we invite you to join the MatrixStore on-prem, hybrid, and multi-cloud storage revolution. Object Matrix, saving you time and money.
Hopefully that video gave you a little insight to who we are. It's better than hearing me give you all the benefits. We just get the standard thing out of the way. But what I did want to just talk through is, what is MatrixStore and why is it so good for the corporate world as well? Although we focus on the media world, we actually have customers in the corporate world as well, banks, blue lights, universities, etc. And they've taken us for our security credentials, essentially. We've got a built-in disaster recovery, built-in business continuity, the built-in smarts and analytics that can easily view the data, see the data, use the data, and even some worm safeguards. They're making sure the data is safe, secured, locked, the compliance side of things. And that's why we've got the likes of fire services and police services who will use a MatrixStore to store their data just as much as they will anything else. Those customers that we can talk about, obviously, are the banks that we've got, Schroders, Nomura, UBS, and in there, but also universities, Santo Thomas and University Catholica down in South America, both big users of MatrixStore. Again, not only for their media workflows, but for all of their main data as well. And that just tells you that the MatrixStore itself is a really good product for both media, corporate, and various workflows out there. I'll take this opportunity to hand over to Manfred now, and he'll tell you a little bit about PoINT systems.
Yeah, thanks. And first of all, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to present our solution today. Okay, so let me start with some information about our company. PoINT is an independent software vendor for data and storage management solutions, founded in 1994. Our entire team, the product development, the support, sales, and pre-sales is located in Germany, in Siegen. That is about an hour from Cologne. And we have a lot of small customers who manage a few terabytes with our solutions, but also very large customers with several petabytes. And we have a worldwide reseller network, and we work closely with storage vendors like Matrix. So our PoINT Storage Manager is a file-based tiering and archiving solution. So we handle unstructured data. In archiving, fundamental differentiation must be made between an active and a passive approach, which means that either data is actively gathered from an existing storage system, or an archive platform is provided to receive data. In the active approach, customers usually have a very grown file infrastructure, and at the same time, certain data has to be archived in the long term. The storage manager allows you to move inactive files or files to be archived from your primary storage to a capacity optimized storage or to an archive storage. So for this, the file system is analyzed, and we copy the data which matches to the defined rule set to the archive storage, and then we replace the original file with a small placeholder. So this way, you are still able to access a file by using the same entry point, and in most cases, the file age is used as a criteria. And as target systems, we support disk-based systems, tape libraries, special warm appliances, optical media, cloud providers, and of course, object storage. Okay, here we have the passive approach. So on the other hand, there are two main use cases with the passive approach. One is about compliant archiving, or how to replace existing file server, especially in remote offices with a small file gateway. So this means in the passive approach, the storage manager provides a file system interface for this purpose. Okay. To explain the architecture, I start at the upper left of this slide here. At most customers, we offload data from Windows file servers, NetApp systems, or Dell EMC Unity. So for these primary storage systems, we provide the so-called stubbing method, which is fully transparent for the application and the users. And then we also support symbolic links, and we provide our web link service, which replaces the original file by an HTML or an URL file. So these are all active approaches, and our PoINT archive file system is a passive approach. So we provide the file service ourselves. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see the supported target systems, just to give you an abstract of the systems we support. And of course, as a vendor of archiving solutions, we are often asked by our customers which storage platform, which archiving system they should use at the underlying target. However, the projects show that an object storage like Object Matrix or MatrixStore offers many advantages. So they are higher available, they scale, offer better protection, for example, better protection than a NAS system. And especially in distributed environments with file servers and remote offices, the connection via the S3 protocol is much easier than with the CIFS or NFS, because the S3 is based on HTTP, which is optimized for internet connections. Yeah. Okay. Here we can see the different ways how to access our archive. So the preferred method is the so-called stubbing, which is transparent to the user. And the stub differs only in the size on disk to the original file. And depending on the operating system, the icon can be a little bit different to indicate the file has been archived. And when you open a file, it won't initiate a recall to the primary storage. We call this pass through on read. And then we have an integration to the previous version, in case you use snapshots on your primary storage. Okay. Then we have our web links. So this is a method we can provide on any NAS system, any source NAS system. And in this case, we replace the file with an HTML or URL file. So you can download the original archive file by your web browser. So this is some kind of an indirect file system access. You use a single sign-on, so you don't have to authenticate additionally. Then we have the symbolic links, which are pretty similar to the original file, but not that transparent like stuff. And we have our web client. This is a portal with the original file and folder structure, and it provides a search capability. And you can combine the web client with the methods I have explained before. Or if you want to completely remove the original files from the primary storage without leaving a placeholder. Okay, and then we have our own application, the data browser. Now this is a tool for the IT administrators, which is a most powerful way to access the archive with advanced features like restore option, or you can see the retention period for each single file. Then we have our user-controlled archiving. So in addition to the centrally controlled archiving, we also offer the option for the end user, to archive selected files. So there's a plugin for the Windows Explorer for this purpose, and by right-clicking, for example, you can archive a file with a retention period, for example, 10 years. Okay, then back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much for that. All good stuff. I mean, let's just have a quick look at how it integrates between the two systems. So the PoINT storage manager obviously is looking at the online storage and either a MatrixStore on-prem or a MatrixStore cloud. It can actually interface with either our Samba interface, our MatrixStore file system, or in the case of this demo, we've got it set up directly to our MatrixStore cloud via the S3 interface. It's got the benefit of being able to package lots of small files together into one larger file, which object storage, as you know, likes. But then, of course, when you bring back that small file, you just have to do effectively, the PoINT manager gives a partial restore of just the part that it requires. And that's all controlled through the PoINT storage manager.
Yeah, and here we can see the workflow. So first of all, we copy the files from the primary storage or the local file system to MatrixStore. Then optionally you can set a retention period, for example, to 10 or 20 years. This period can only be extended but not shortened. So, and during that retention period, files cannot be deleted from the archive. But anyway, to comply with legal regulations, we offer the so-called privileged delete which enables special accounts to delete files before the retention period expires. But this action is, of course, locked. Yeah. And then on the next step, which can also be done at a later time, the original file on the primary storage is replaced by a link or by a stub. And in case of a read access, the file is made available directly without restoring it to the primary system. Now, this is what we call a pass-through on read. Now, when if a user changes a file, it will be stored on the primary storage again with new modifications. And then when the file has aged or matches the rules again, it will be archived with the next archiving job, and a new version will be created in the archive. This way, the original version is being protected by the PoINT storage manager. Okay, and then we have the passive approach. The passive approach uses or applications work with the PoINT archive file system, but yeah, this is a virtual file system, and MatrixStore is used as the actual data storage. So the archive file system offers a lot of archiving functions. New files are archived immediately. Then there's the file versioning, and in addition, you can enable a warm protection, including retention management. And then there's the PoINT file retention lock, which allows applications to control the retention period by setting the access date in the future. So this means that the access timestamp defines how long the file cannot be modified or deleted. And once the retention has expired, the file is released. So that is and that is a method, a way that many applications support. Okay, then again back to you, Mark.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for that. Let's have a look at the actual systems in progress then. What we're looking at here is the MatrixStore admin tool. Now, most of the people who talk to us, they'll only come in here and they'll only see a few bits of it because they'll be concerned about the MatrixStore cluster being the hardware, is for the admins. The space is the logical area that people work in, and then the vault, the bucket, the work space, whatever you want to call it, is where you apply your policies. These policies can be many and different. You can choose what audit levels you have. You can choose what data integrity level you have for the data, and that's effectively what checksum is done. You can choose a protection scheme, whether you keep 2 copies in the MatrixStore or 1, and the beauty of that is the redundancy. But then you've got the option to replicate to a complete second MatrixStore built in at a vault by vault level. And then you've also got the compliance. Now, this is the thing that our corporate customers take up quite regularly, the extra compliance level where we say this data is locked for a set amount of time. Again, you configure that, you decide, and it kind of works alongside with the PoINT storage manager, so that if you set a retention period in PoINT and you set a retention period in MatrixStore, the two will work alongside each other, and both of them make sure you are doubly protected. If you did enable delete and you're past your compliance threshold and your user has permission to delete, it even goes into a trash can built into the storage, and it's just our final little backup of saying how long you want to keep that data within the MatrixStore. Now, MatrixStore itself, if you're in the media workflow, will extract extra metadata itself, anything image related, media, XMP, and a few of those fancy video formats, AS11 and IMF stuff. As well, if you need it to, but of course in the corporate world they don't often do that. Got users and groups and Active Directory, as you'd expect, controlling various and individual granularity on the actual abilities and things you can do within the MatrixStore. And then lastly, you've got the metrics. There's lots and lots of metrics built into MatrixStore to see how the system statistics are looking, who's using the system, how long where the peaks and troughs, is there massive hits and ups and downs within things in there, and then again detailed down into the vault statistic level, where we can see on a vault level what is actually happening within the MatrixStore. And then further again, we can actually start looking at that replication, checking that replication's working away nicely, and there's nothing outstanding within that, if there's a backlog or whatnot, as well as system processes and alerts, the ability to tell you when things are getting a bit too busy, too full within the system, and notify all of your channels. I'll quickly mention Vision because this is our web browser interface. As I said, we've got a Samba interface, we've got an NFS interface, we've got a file system application, we've got an S3 gateway, and all of our tools talk between each other as well. So if you put something in with Samba, you can read it with Vision. If you put something in with MXFS, you can read it back with Samba in there. The beauty of Vision is that it allows you to self-serve from pretty much anywhere because it's a browser. It works on most browsers, and it just gives you a view into the data in your MatrixStore. Of course, if it's media data, we'll present it in a way that looks nice and great, but there's the search abilities, the ability to search on all of that metadata, XMP or media info that we've extracted. There is a built-in player in here as well, so that we can see the assets, swip between time codes or speeds, etc., and even take a subclip of an asset as well, of a video asset within that as well. So it's a little bit of overlap there with the systems from PoINT and Storage Manager, but it's all good to be able to see your assets in the long run. So what I'll do now, if it's okay, I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll ask Manfred to share his and show you the other side of things, the thing controlling the data coming into our MatrixStore.
Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show you the PoINT Storage Manager, my demo environment, which basically consists of Windows 2019 server and MatrixStore connected to it. So in my demo, in my environment, the storage manager is already installed. But yeah, the installation, the initial configuration takes less than 20 minutes. Okay, so before I move on with the configuration, I would like to show you the initial situation on my file server, on my primary storage. As you can see here, I have some files and folders here. I can open them, yeah, normally, and I can show you the file properties. We can see the size on disk, which are pretty much the same. Yeah, and these files aren't processed by Storage Manager yet. Okay, so let me open the Storage Manager interface for the IT administrator here. So the first step before we create any tiering or archiving policy is to configure so-called archive device, which is the target device for files to be archived. So in my case, I'm going to use MatrixStore, which is already connected by our S3 connector. So you can see it here. And in principle, you simply enter the URL, the bucket, the S3 access, and secret key. That's all to configure the target system. Okay. So in the next step, you configure a so-called storage vault, which defines a process of a source system, some rules, policies, and one or more target systems. So when you create a new one, you enter a name here, and select the type of source system. As I've already mentioned before, we support Windows-based systems, Dell EMC, Unity system, and the fast systems with the stubbing method. And for other NAS systems, we support the symbolic links or the web links. Yeah. So in my demo, I will archive files from a Windows file server to MatrixStore. Yeah. So I would use the PoINT tufs here. Yeah. But let me switch to storage vault I've already configured here. Okay. So in this window here, you can select the source system, the actual source system here from your network, and the entry port. Yeah, so I've selected a volume here to archive. Yeah. So PoINT storage manager can also be configured in a 3-level architecture. So for example, files are first moved from the primary storage to an on-prem target and then to the cloud at a later time. Yeah. So, but in my case here, we will use the archive tier only. Yeah. So I've already selected MatrixStore as the primary target here. And yeah, before I finish the storage vault configuration, we have to set a policy. Yeah. And yeah, this interface here looks pretty similar to a Microsoft Outlook rule. Yeah. So first of all, you can enter a name here, and then one or more conditions, and one or more actions below. So for example, you could say we would like to take all files older than maybe 30 days. Yeah. 30 days. And files larger than 1 megabyte. Yeah, and we want to archive them and purge them, which means we want to replace the original file by a stub. Yeah, but in my case, I will use a different policy so we can see the effect immediately. I'm going to archive and replace all files. Yeah. Okay. Then, yeah, finally, you can configure a schedule to define when the archiving job should run. For example, yeah, once a week or every night. Okay. So let me start the job manually. Now they're scanning for new files. Okay, so let us now have a look to our files and folders. We can see the stub only differs in the size on disk, which is yeah, almost 0. This is because of Windows. And we can open it. Yeah, and it won't initiate a recall to the primary storage, what we call pass-through. And by the way, the in our case, the file server and the PoINT storage manager are running in Germany, and we are connected to a MatrixStore system in UK. So this shows even with internet connection, the user experience is very good. The delay is low when you open an archive file. Okay. And here we can see the icon, has changed a little bit. Okay. And when you now edit a file, now let me take this one here. Demo 123. Save the file. Now this new version with this modification is stored on the primary storage, as the icon indicates, and you can see the same in the properties. And when the PoINT storage manager now starts the archiving job again, then we will have 2 versions in our archive. So let me start it. Okay, now I can show you, we have two versions here in our archive. So this is the current version and the previous one, which is deleted, which means there's no stop linking to the archive. Yeah. But I can restore the original protected version from the archive. Okay, and here it is again, the original one, which is protected in our archive, yeah, without the modifications. Okay, so yeah, this is just one example of the archiving functions. Okay, and that brings me, yeah, to the end of my lifetime. Okay, back to you, Mark.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, I mean, I'll just show you what it looks like on our side. I've now switched off my VPN, so I'm using my cloud instance, which is the one you've been working towards, which is in the UK. And of course, we've got ourselves access to some demo content and the vaults on the left-hand side. But I've also got access to my PoINT vault, where I can see the zipped up, grouped up assets are actually just object IDs related to the PoINT database, but you can also pass through regular documents as well. So we can see those and search on those and get them available to us. So you can see it's quite a nice round process, and the two products working together quite nicely. So does anyone have any questions for us at this phase? Anything, any burning ideas that people are having out there? You can either unmute yourself or pop them in the chat, completely up to you. I mean, I'll start off the ball there, Manfred. What's a typical deployment size for PoINT Manager? How much data are you managing?
Yeah, typical deployment size is it is deployed as a virtual machine, and typically it's we use 4 or 6 CPU cores and 16 gig of RAM. So the system requirements are pretty low. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Great stuff. Well, I guess we'll leave it there then. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. If you need to get in contact with us, our details are on the screen right now. And we'd be happy to chat to you or give you an individual personal demo if you required it. Again, yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Manfred, for joining me on this call and showing people the two things together. I think it's been useful. I think I've learned a couple of things today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.